My husband of 11 years said to me, "Let's get a divorce, I want to give her a proper status." The next day, we went to the civil affairs office. From that day on, he never came home again, only their updates kept appearing in my social media feed, and I also gave up all assistance to his company, just to see how far he could go on his own. The sky was clear, the sunlight just right, and the breeze gentle. Sean and I walked into the civil affairs office together, as the breeze brushed by. Seeing my hair in disarray, he instinctively raised his hand to tidy it for me. Witnessing this scene, the staff handling marriage registration warmly invited us to take a seat. "Sorry, we're here to file for divorce." Upon hearing my statement, the staff widened their eyes and exchanged glances. After being ushered inside by the staff, the clerk asked us the reason for our divorce. Sean Wallace pursed his lips and remained silent, so I kindly spoke up for him. "The relationship has broken down due to incompatibility in personalities. That being said, everyone knows full well that this is just a polite excuse. The real reason is, Sean has found someone else he wants to protect with reckless devotion. The girl is an employee at the coffee shop downstairs from his company, commuting to and from work, attentive care by the hospital bed, and under the public gaze at campus celebrations, providing her with designer clothes, presenting her with enormous bouquets, even indicating that the sponsorship of the event was because his little girlfriend had a performance, as if I had become her guardian angel. As for the reason I agreed to the divorce, it was even simpler. I never pick up someone else's discarded trash. Looking at the slightly faded marriage certificate, the staff member routinely advised us not to act impulsively and to think about the days we had spent together, knowing and supporting each other. "I'm very busy, please hurry up." The man's icy words significantly sped up the staff's processing speed. About half an hour later, Sean and I each received a receipt for the divorce cooling-off period. He pressed his thin lips tightly together. "Nina, where are you going? Let me take you." Without waiting for my refusal, he quickly walked to the parking lot and drove the car right in front of me. I raised my hand, instinctively about to open the passenger door and sit down. It suddenly occurred to me that he and I were no longer husband and wife. Under the man's inscrutable gaze, I sat in the back seat with utmost composure. The car moved smoothly forward, merging into the traffic, even from the back seat. The half of his face reflected in the rearview mirror showed that Sean was in a very good mood. "Could you please turn up the temperature? I'm allergic to pollen, and the cold makes it worse." The man silently handed me a pack of tissues. We grew up together, knew each other since childhood, dated for 4 years, and have been married for 7. He knows perfectly well that I'm not allergic to pollen. "Nina, Mr. Wallace, please call me Mrs. Coll or Nina Coll." "Alright, Nina Coll, I'll tell both sets of parents about our divorce." Sean has always liked to take charge of everything concerning me, and this time was no exception as he took it upon himself again. Actually, he wasn't like this when he was younger. As a child, Sean was a tiny little thing, skinny as a rail and painfully shy around strangers. In kindergarten, he was constantly being bullied. As for me, I was outgoing and, fueled by a youthful sense of justice, quite the little troublemaker. But since his mom always prepared all sorts of delicious treats for me, I had no choice but to look out for him a bit. That was when I climbed onto the kindergarten's broadcast platform with my short little legs and announced to the entire preschool, "Sean is under Nina's protection." This allowed Sean to safely get through his kindergarten years, gradually grow up, and become the school heartthrob in middle and high school. Back then, I treated Sean like a sworn brother, but he kept pestering me every day to tutor me in math, insisting I attend the same university as him. Later, I really did as he wished and attended the same university as him, and he became the campus heartthrob of University A, as well as a stumbling block to my love life, with him around. Even though I was as beautiful as a flower, cheerful, and had countless friends, for 4 whole years, not a single guy dared to approach me, let alone confess their feelings. On graduation day, Sean took me to the school's science museum. With the help of his friends in the student council, he turned off all the lights in the building, illuminating only the vast universe I had never seen before. Just for me, he held my hand, and I could feel his palm was sweaty. "Nina, will you marry me? I swear on my life, I will treat you well for the rest of my life." At that time, I didn't hesitate for a second, but now, facing Sean, I refused without thinking. "Mr. Wallace, that's my business. no need to trouble yourself, I'll handle it. The overly polite and distant tone made Sean involuntarily furrow his brows. After a moment of silence in the car, he asked me with a half-smile how I planned to explain it to my parents. Seeing that I remained silent, Sean let out a mocking laugh. Nina, don't tell me you're regretting it now. Only then did I finally tear my gaze away from my phone and look at him. Can you focus on driving and not get distracted? As for the reason, I've already said I'll handle it myself. I really don't want to end up dead on the street with my ex-husband on my first day of being single again. Hearing my undisguised indifference, the man's grip on the steering wheel tightened more and more. Suddenly, music started playing in the car. It was Sean's phone connected to the car's Bluetooth ringing. The ringtone, a sickly sweet love song popular among young girls these days. Sean chose to answer the call despite me still being in the car. A girl's sweet and tender voice filled the entire car. The girl coquettishly complained that she had classes all day and still had to work at a coffee shop in the evening. Saying she was starving, Sean glanced at me, and seeing my unchanged expression, smiled and said to the girl, "I know my dear is hungry. I'll go buy your favorite seafood porridge and crab roe buns now, okay?" After a sweet and affectionate phone call, without waiting for Sean to say anything, I tactfully pointed to the intersection ahead. "You can drop me off at the intersection up ahead." The black car pulled over by the roadside. As soon as I got out, it immediately drove away, appearing extremely impatient. I didn't clutch my abdomen until the car was out of sight, covered in cold sweat. Feeling as if I was about to collapse onto the sidewalk, 2 months ago, Sean called to tell me he had forgotten a very important document, so I took the document and drove straight to his company. On the way, a speeding truck lost control and flipped over, crashing toward me. Fortunately, fate had other plans, but the tremendous impact left my left leg with a comminuted fracture. At that time, tormented by pain and the fear of potential long-term effects, I cried uncontrollably and made countless calls to Sean, but his phone remained switched off the entire time. It wasn't until later that I found out he had immediately bought a ticket to Paris after the girl mentioned she'd never seen French pigeons, spent a whole week traveling with her in Paris. I didn't tell my parents about it because I was afraid they'd worry. In the end, it was my best friend Lin Liu who accompanied me through the surgery and the subsequent rehabilitation. At that moment, I decided I didn't want that utterly useless man anymore. Returned home alone and made myself a simple lunch. I had just finished eating at a leisurely pace and was about to clean up when I received a WeChat message from Lin Liu. "Nina, you haven't even officially divorced Sean yet. And he's already shamelessly celebrating openly with his mistress. Does he have no shame at all?" Attached to Lin Liu's message was a photo of Sean dining at a romantic restaurant with a young woman. It was that restaurant, the one I had messaged Sean about wanting to visit together, only to be turned down because he was too busy. I suddenly felt a strong urge to vomit rising in my throat. In a flash, it seemed like I thought of something. The next day, I got up early and went to the hospital. Looking at my blood test report, the doctor said to me, "Congratulations, Ms. Coll. According to the examination results, you are 13 weeks pregnant, which means 3 months." I remained silent for a while. "Please schedule the procedure for me." In the early years of our marriage, Sean couldn't bear to be apart from me for even a day. We all wanted a child so badly, yet after all these years, despite neither of us having any physical issues, we just couldn't conceive. Now that we're divorced, it finally comes. Oh well, it's just bad luck for it to arrive at this exact moment. Just as I stepped out of the consultation room, I saw Sean and his sweetheart Camila Ellis standing at the door. My hand holding the bag suddenly tightened. Before the divorce was even finalized, Camila got pregnant. Camila's first reaction upon seeing me was to hide behind Sean, as if a moment's delay would cost her life. Sean noticed the deep furrows between my brows. He wouldn't think I was following them, would he? "What are you doing here?" Before I could answer, he immediately continued, "Nina, let's part on good terms. Camila isn't well, and you following me like this could easily frighten her." Hearing this, I knew I had guessed right. "Look carefully. I was here first, and this is the obstetrics and gynecology department. Could your little girlfriend be pregnant? Sean, don't forget, we're not divorced yet." With that, I turned to leave, only to hear someone call my name from behind. Turning around, I saw a handsome man in a white coat walking straight toward me. At that moment, Sean's gaze grew even colder. "Who is he?" And how did you meet? The man completely ignored Sean's questioning and walked straight up to me, concerned about my injuries and asking how my rehabilitation was going. I smiled. Thanks to Dr. Xiao, I can basically walk normally now. Sean suddenly walked up to me and grabbed my shoulders. What rehab? Weren't you just slightly grazed? Why would you need rehab? Sean had only heard from the secretary that I was injured and simply assumed it was a minor scrape, never imagining my injuries could be so severe. In truth, if he had just paid attention to how long I was hospitalized or noticed the way I usually walked, he would have realized it couldn't possibly be just a minor scrape. Unfortunately, since my injury, he's either been busy with work or having Camilla's sweet private rendezvous. Where would he find any extra energy to pay attention to me? The condition of my leg is none of your concern, I said coldly. Don't forget, we're already in the process of getting a divorce. Hearing this, Sean's expression visibly darkened. At this moment, Camilla suddenly started crying and complaining to me for no apparent reason. Her tears fell like pear blossoms in the rain, making me look like the aggressive other woman instead. Nina, sister, I've always wanted to say sorry to you. I've also been advising Sean brother to cherish you and treat you well. It's all my fault that things have turned out this way. Whether you want to hit me, scold me, or do anything to me, I'll accept it. Facing Camilla's feigned confession and apology, I responded with an air of nonchalance. First of all, I'm an only child. Secondly, this isn't a movie, no matter how well you act. You can only deceive Sean. And thirdly, your acting really isn't that good, seeing that I remained indifferent and didn't rush at her as she had expected. Camilla stiffened slightly before clutching her abdomen and looking at Sean with extreme grievance. The man's eyes revealed an unshakable heartache as he slowly drew Camilla into his arms, wiping her tears while reprimanding me. Nina, the divorce cooling-off period lasts 29 days. You know my temper. Don't even think about causing trouble. If things really escalate, the only one who'll end up humiliated is you. After Sean led Camilla away, Dr. Xiao walked up to me. Nina, are you okay? People are like this. When facing everything alone, they feel nothing but numbness. But once they receive someone's care, they can't help but feel wronged. With a face full of exhaustion, I looked at Dr. Xiao. Could I ask you for a favor? Before I could even say what was wrong, Dr. Xiao had already agreed. With Dr. Xiao's help, the abortion procedure was successfully performed that same day. As I was being wheeled out of the operating room, I thought I saw a familiar figure. But I was too exhausted to think much of it, so I didn't pay much attention. After the surgery, Sean never heard from me again, whether by phone or WeChat messages. The more I used to cling to him, the quieter I am now. 1 Wallace later, a drunken Sean brought Camilla back to our home. He embraced her, kissing all the way from the door to our bedroom, only to find me changing clothes in the walk-in closet. Changed my clothes and walked over to them. Excuse me, I need to get through. I have something to attend to. The air seemed to freeze. Sean instinctively let go of his arms around Camilla, then turned and whispered to his little darling. Camilla, you go out first. Camilla glared at me before obediently turning around and walking out of the bedroom, with alluring charm and coquettish grace. While I turned to select a bag, Sean silently pressed against me from behind, his arms stretched forward, trapping me between the cabinet and himself. Nina, dressed like this late at night, are you going to meet some random man? I never thought the trash I threw away would still be in such high demand. Like this, like that, a top and a skirt, an outfit you see everywhere on the street. How does it sound so vulgar coming from his mouth? And trash, what a despicable man. When did this man become so shameless? How did I never notice before? I pushed him, but he didn't budge. Then I had no choice but to take action. I slapped him hard across the face. What do you mean by that? A worn-out shoe? Is this your level of decency? Don't forget. Even though we're in the cooling-off period for divorce, I can change my mind at any time. Don't blame me later if your beloved sweetheart ends up being the other woman for life. Seizing the moment while he was still stunned from the slap, I pushed him away forcefully and strode out of the walk-in closet. In the living room, I had the misfortune of running into Camilla holding a glass of water and drinking. Nina, sister, you're dressed so beautifully. Do you have a date? I didn't expect you to move on so quickly. Camilla hesitated as if wanting to say something but held back. Sean clenched his jaw, looking like he was about to spew more insulting trash talk at me. I casually picked up the water glass and splashed the lukewarm water at Camilla. Keep running your mouth like that, and washing it out with water will be the least of your worries." The phone rang, and with a relaxed smile on my face, I answered it while walking toward the door, watching my brisk retreating figure. Sean followed with a cold expression. Only when he saw me get into a silver car and leave without looking back, leaving him with nothing but exhaust fumes. "Nina, are you really sure about this?" The man in the driver's seat spoke, his face stern, his eyes slightly darkened, filled with unconcealable heartache. "You know me, once I've made a decision, I never change it." "Wallace Chenjing, will you help me?" I looked at Wallace Chenjing, staring straight at him without glancing away. Wallace Chenjing lowered his head with a light chuckle, then unconsciously tightened his grip on the steering wheel, his gaze fixed ahead. His voice was soft but his tone resolute. "You know, Nina, I would never refuse any request of yours. I'll help you." The car stopped in front of the bar, he opened the door, stepped out, and pushed through the entrance. The atmosphere in the private room was lively, with everyone already exchanging greetings before I even arrived. "Nina, what took you so long? We've all been waiting for ages." "Exactly. You organized this gathering but showed up last. You owe us a penalty drink." I walked in and took my seat comfortably, readily accepting the challenge. These people are my capital, my connections, and also the reason why Sean's company was able to grow. This private room is filled with friends I've maintained relationships with for years, some I met in middle or high school, others after Sean started his business in college. There's just one thing, without exception, they are all Sean Company's clients, his golden patron daddies. The only difference is whether they were in the past or are currently, even former business partners, who were quite renowned in the industry, were Sean not to be trifled with. Seeing the atmosphere was about right, I stated the purpose of inviting them to gather. "Sean and I are divorced." The private room fell into complete silence instantly, with only the songs they had chosen still playing on loop. It was quite fitting. Just as the song reached the line, "Once upon a time, there was someone who loved you for a long time," someone quickly stepped forward to turn off the music. "How could that be? You've been in love for so many years, and married for 7. Clearly recalling the saying about the 7-year itch, I spoke with an air of indifference. "He cheated, went to the Civil Affairs Bureau with Wallace. His little bird is pregnant." The private room erupted in chaos, with some cursing and others standing up for me, but I didn't care anymore. All I wanted now was to see him return to how he was without me. It wasn't exactly revenge, I just wanted to see what he would truly be like if he'd never had my help from the start. Would he still be this successful, or would he achieve nothing and remain mediocre? "I'll wait and see." Previously, "His company relied on your help, but from now on, it's no longer needed. Stop all of it." They naturally agreed to my words. After all, the previous assistance was given out of respect for me. At that time Sean was in his junior year of college. What started as a small game project with his roommate for fun unexpectedly caught the attention of a gaming company. At that time, they thought highly of themselves and naturally looked down on the conditions offered by game companies. So they decided to start their own company to develop game software. In the first few months, they simply focused all their attention on the game. Believing that the company was progressing step by step and everything was going smoothly, when the game development was nearly complete, problems began to pile up one after another. For the company to turn a profit, it needed promotion and distribution on various platforms, all of which required professional business negotiations with different companies. But Sean and the others are typical tech guys. Asking them to negotiate and haggle with clients is like asking for their lives. During that time, Sean wore a frown every day. Although he tried his best to suppress his emotions in front of me, his inner restlessness and anxiety were still clearly visible. I couldn't bear to see him stressed about these things every day, so I told him to focus on developing the game and leave the rest to me. At first, Sean declined, thinking he could handle it himself. He even comforted me, saying he would take care of everything and that I could just wait to graduate and marry him to become a wealthy wife. I neither agreed nor disagreed and let him have his way. Later, the company only had expenses without income, and he grew increasingly anxious, until one day, he took the initiative to tell me that he wanted me to help him negotiate game distribution deals with other companies. I gladly agreed. Actually, during our last conversation, I had already started researching companies that could potentially collaborate with his, essentially completing the preliminary groundwork. Thanks to my outgoing personality and the connections I'd made across various industries, Sean's game was quickly launched on multiple platforms. From then on, Sean's company soared straight upward, earning the title of Internet Industry Rising Star by the second year after graduation, just 1 year after we got married. Ever since then, I've been helping Sean with all aspects of diplomacy, media, Weibo hot searches, client platforms. I've been handling all the behind-the-scenes operations for him. And in return, after I helped him secure his first deal, he gave me a 1/6 stake in the company. Now, the first thing I need to do is sell my shares as quickly as possible before my friends start making moves. If I wait too long, they won't be worth much. The night the news about me selling my shares got out, I received Sean's call. His deafening roar came through the phone. As if I had committed some heinous crime. Nina, who gave you the audacity to sell shares without notifying me? How dare you? Playing with my manicured nails, I replied nonchalantly. I don't want anything to do with you anymore, so why would I ever help you with your company again? Sean was so angry he could barely speak coherently, yet there was nothing he could do. After a while, his tone softened. If you want to sell, I won't stop you. Name your price. Sell it to me. Hey, Wallace. You're being generous. Let me take less then. We'll go by market price. But this is just the price for the shares. As for marital assets, let's stick to what we agreed. All savings, properties, and cars split 60-40 in my favor. After hearing me out, Sean paused for 2 seconds on the other end. I don't have that much on hand. Here's the deal. Transfer the shares to me, and you can keep all marital assets. I was taken aback for a moment, then started calculating the approximate price in my mind. No way, your 40% isn't enough to buy my shares. Besides, you've spent quite a bit on that little bird of yours, and I have the right to reclaim those funds. Nina, don't push your luck. Know your limits, he warned through gritted teeth, but I was fearless. I advise you to come up with a better offer, or else I'll sell it to someone else. Fine, in addition to all the marital assets, I'll also give you the 3 luxury apartments I owned before marriage in the city center. That should be enough. Right, hearing this, I smiled faintly. Then thank you very much, Mr. Wallace. I'll come to your office tomorrow to sign the contract. 2 Wallace mornings later, I arrived home and opened the door. As soon as I entered, I saw a man sitting on the sofa, and instinctively, I was startled. It was Sean. He must not have slept all night. His white shirt crumpled and disheveled, eyes deep and unfathomable, impossible to read their meaning. Sean gritted his teeth and roared at me. Nina, what have you done to Camila again? Sean opened his mouth, but the voice that came out was hoarse and unpleasant, startling not just me but even himself. What did I do? And besides, whatever I did, it has nothing to do with you now, I said indifferently. Sean's expression grew increasingly grim. Where were you all night last night without coming home? The man's interrogative tone made me extremely annoyed, and I couldn't help but roll my eyes at him. Whether I come home or not should be none of your business. Just as I was about to ignore him and head back to the bedroom, Sean called out to me coldly, Nina, this is my final warning to you. Don't let your friends harass Camila. My patience has its limits. As soon as these words were spoken, I immediately understood what he was referring to. Lin Liu is a renowned barista. A couple of days ago, to vent my anger for me, Lin Liu publicly called out Camila in front of all the cafe staff and customers, demanding to taste the coffee she personally made. After taking just 1 sip, Lin Liu proceeded to critique everything from the grind to the temperature and technique. The criticized Camila ran out of the cafe in tears and was nearly hit by a car. To this, I have only one comment, just Lin Liu's daily routine. And you're complaining about it? How overly sensitive. I smiled as I watched Sean's face suddenly darken, and continued, not just you, but my patience also has its limits. This apartment was bought by me before marriage. It's my premarital property. At 3 p.m., I'll have someone come to change the locks. Hurry up and pack your things. After that time, anything left will be cleared out by the cleaning staff, and as for where it'll end up, I'm sure you wouldn't want to know, right? With that, I walked back to the bedroom and slammed the door shut. By the time I came out again, Sean had already left in anger. The next day, Lin Liu excitedly informed me that there would be Wallace's class reunion, but unfortunately, I had other engagements that day. After hearing where my engagement was, Lin Liu suggested holding the reunion at the same place. After her repeated assurances Sean wouldn't be there, I agreed to make a brief appearance, but as I pushed the door open, I was met with the sight of that cheating couple. Camila was intimately clinging to Sean's arm, acting as if she'd already secured her position. Full of petty triumph, during university, Sean and I were known campus-wide as the perfect match, talent and beauty combined. The wedding held right after graduation was known to everyone in the entire school, without exception. Now, in front of his former classmates, the two are inseparable, displaying intimate gestures, exchanging greetings with many professors who once taught us. However, the expressions of the classmates and teachers in the private room were far from pleasant. My relationship with the classmates and teachers is much better than Sean's with them. I have no idea where he got the courage to openly bring his mistress to the class reunion. The teacher saw me and walked over. "Nina, what's going on with you two?" "Teacher, Sean cheated on me. It's the one he brought. I divorced him after finding out, and now we're in the cooling off period." The teacher and students exchanged glances upon hearing my words. The classmates who were chatting with Sean and Camila immediately turned cold-faced. I have no shame about divorce. Today I'm determined to nail Sean and Camila to the pillar of shame and burn them. Sean never expected me to say it outright. He glared at me furiously, while I simply gave him a slight nod in response. Then I turned away and continued chatting and laughing with the teachers and classmates. When the time was right, I excused myself from the teacher. As I still had social engagements to attend, just as I stepped out, someone grabbed my arm from behind. Turning around, I saw it was Sean. "Did you have something to do with the company's current problems?" "Oh, have they already started taking action?" "Counting the cooling off period, 29 days have passed. Tomorrow will be the 30th day, so I should be able to get the divorce certificate." "What does your company have to do with me? I've already sold you the shares. And the business has completely withdrawn. Now you're trying to pin it on me." Sean was taken aback, probably not expecting that I could walk away from the company so decisively. "I have other matters to attend to. Oh, by the way, tomorrow is the last day of the cooling off period. Let's meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 10 a.m. the day after." With that, I turned and headed to another private room. Compared to arguing with him, making money was far more important. As soon as I pushed open the private room door, I heard Wallace Chenjing's greeting. "Nina, we saved a seat for you. Come sit here," Wallace Chenjing whispered to me. "You're so late, hurry up and eat something." Wallace Chenjing and I met very early on. Sean, and I attended the same high school. However, he was 2 grades above us. When Sean and I were freshmen, he was already a senior. I have a wide circle of friends, and I heard that the senior Wallace Chenjing was not only tall and handsome but also highly intelligent, having been admitted to Q University early during his sophomore year. From that moment on, I had always wanted to get to know this legendary campus heartthrob and academic star. Later during a class break, I tripped when a classmate behind me stepped on my shoe, and it happened to be Wallace Chenjing supervising that day. After he took me to the infirmary, I proactively asked for his contact information. After that, whenever we met at school, I would always greet him and chat. Because of him, I even joined the student council and ended up in the publicity department with Wallace Chenjing. However, he was only a nominal minister at the time, while I, with my years of painting experience, was responsible for designing promotional posters for various events. Our gradual familiarity also began with the promotional activities for the school sports meet. He was in charge of coordinating the work of the publicity department. As I needed to discuss and confirm poster content with him, our interactions became more frequent. Chatting with Wallace Chenjing is always comfortable. We can talk endlessly about anything under the sun, so it was inevitable that we grew close. Even after he graduated and went to college, we never lost touch, unlike Sean, who's quiet and always leaves it to me to keep the conversation going, if I don't take the initiative. Sean might not reach out to me for 10 days or even half a month, and Sean's title as the school heartthrob in high school only fell to him after Wallace Chenjing graduated. The weather on the day we got our divorce certificate was about the same as the day we got our marriage certificate. It was early autumn, not too hot, but not yet bleak with autumn winds either. Temperature, sunlight, a gentle breeze, everything was just perfect. As soon as we stepped out of the hall, we saw Camila waiting eagerly at the door. She immediately approached Sean as if hoping Sean would go back in with her to finalize the marriage certificate right away. I then walked towards Wallace Chenjing, who was waiting for me outside. Camila saw that the man waiting for me was not only no worse than Sean but even better, which made her feel increasingly unbalanced. Is that Nina's sister's boyfriend? Did she get a boyfriend right after the divorce? Hearing this, I stopped in my tracks, turned around, and walked towards Camila. I then slapped Camila hard across the face. Being the other woman is your choice, but don't assume everyone else is like you. Keep your little bird in check. I'm not one to show mercy. Then ignoring Sean's ugly expression, I turned and walked out, got in the car, and left. In the car, I told Wallace Chenjing not to hold back on my account anymore. It's time to pull out completely. Before Sean, the company's issues were just minor troubles they stirred up. Taking advantage of the fact that my divorce papers hadn't been finalized yet, now that everything is settled, I can go all out. In less than a month, I saw news about Sean. Almost all of the company's current sales staff have resigned, and operations are nearly at a standstill. The new hires are also completely unfamiliar with everything, and it will take at least a month for them to get up to speed. By then, it's uncertain whether the company will even still exist. Another half-month passed, and I returned home after having dinner with Lin Liu. From a distance, I could see a figure lingering at my doorstep. It wasn't until the car pulled in that I realized it was Sean. Why would he come looking for me instead of spending sweet time with his beloved little bird? Nina, you're back. How have you been lately? Sean speaks and I immediately get a headache. What's this all about now? Stop, 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 Mr. Wallace. Please just call me Miss Coll. May I ask what brings you here? Interrupted by me, Sean seemed momentarily dazed. Nina, was it you who did this to my company? What happened to your company? Can you stop blaming me for everything? Am I some kind of lowly person to you? Seeing the impatience all over my face, Sean looked somewhat flustered. Mr. Wallace, please leave. I haven't interfered with your company's affairs since I sold my shares. Don't come to me with your problems. I was about to go home as soon as I opened the door, but before I could close it, I heard Sean say, Camila broke up with me. After the company incident, she took a large sum of my money and ran away, and she also aborted the child. I've reported it to the police. My hand paused while closing the door. What does that have to do with me? From now on, there's no need to tell me, an unrelated person, about the matters between you two. Oh, by the way, Mr. Wallace, we ran into each other at the obstetrics clinic that day, and you asked me why I was there. Sean froze for a long moment, as if realizing something. His eyes reddened as he looked at me, unable to utter a word. Then I closed the door. Sean's final words came through. Are we really never going to be possible again? What is he thinking? Things have already reached this point, and he still wants to get back together. I'm not a masochist. I never saw Sean again after that. I only kept hearing about Sean from others. Sean called the police. After they caught Camila, they discovered Camila was a habitual fraudster and was sentenced to 20 years. Among those who were deceived, Sean was neither the first nor the last, but he was the one who suffered the greatest loss. Sean's developed game was successively removed from major platforms, with losses beyond estimation. The newly hired couldn't negotiate with other platforms either, leaving them stuck in this situation. Sean's company saw shareholders withdrawing their investments one after another, facing bankruptcy. Sean's company declared bankruptcy, and he himself disappeared without a trace. Later, I heard from Wallace Chenjing that Sean returned to our compound with his company, using his last 200,000 to buy a burial plot. He erected a cenotaph for our child. Wait, no, our child was never born, so it can't really be called a cenotaph, can it? I heard he goes to the cemetery every day to visit his child's grave. He insists it was a daughter, and the information on the tombstone also indicates a daughter. I heard his parents have introduced him to countless blind dates, but the women always lose interest upon learning that his previous marriage ended because of his own infidelity. I heard Sean has been silent and withdrawn, not speaking a word for long periods. I heard his parents moved out of the compound for Sean's sake. I heard that, gradually, there was no more news of Sean, and in the 3rd year after my divorce, I accepted Wallace Chenjing's pursuit. Later, a year later, I married Wallace Chenjing. The wedding was grand. Although it's my 2nd marriage, Wallace Chenjing doesn't care about that at all. Stop it. This is my 2nd marriage. Aren't you afraid people will laugh at you for making it so extravagant? I played with his ear while persistently trying to dissuade him. Wallace Chenjing nestled in my arms, his head rubbing against my stomach as he spoke. You're remarried, but this is my first marriage. Let's do it like a first wedding. I'd like to see who dares to laugh. Before we got together, I had no idea Wallace Chenjing was such a playful and coquettish person. Before, he was the very image of a mature, successful man in his career. Why are you so mischievous now? You weren't like this before. I smiled helplessly. Before we were together, I always had to put on an act. Now that I've got you, why should I pretend anymore? He said it with such conviction. At the wedding, I think I saw Sean. He stood in the corner, so thin that his face was almost unrecognizable. Wearing the suit I had bought for him before the divorce, the once well-fitted clothes now hung loosely on him. In his hands, he held a bouquet similar to the one he had used when proposing to me. When I looked back again, there was no one there. Maybe I was mistaken. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. We'll see you in the next video.